Everywhere you look, he's there. In the stands, and even in the dugout. Glasses, blue shirt, and all, Nealand Pickle is one of a kind.
He's like a little brother to all of us. I mean, I love having him.
Senior catcher Alex Balter is Nealand's best friend on the team.
He's the one that always helps me with stuff.
Nealand's relationship with the Bulldogs began in the fall in Athens, Tennessee.
My daughter came home and basically was talking about this kid that had to leave school because he had cancer.
Nealand has leukemia, cancer that affects the blood and the bone marrow.
He's on his third episode. He started off with brain cancer. He was about a year cancer-free when we found out he was diagnosed with leukemia. Then he went through the process and was declared cancer-free again.
Around a year ago, the leukemia relapsed.
Probably the hardest thing I've had to do as a parent is tell a child who already been through so much that, hey, we got to do it again.
It's a tough journey for any person to go on.
They're strong, and then there's Nealand strong.
They're the words the Tennessee Wesleyan Bulldogs have lived by ever since Nealand's smile first graced them.
He thinks I'm his hero, you know, and it's really the other way around.
He's there every single practice and game.
There's some days we practice at 11 o'clock now just so he has something to do during the day.
Once a week every month, Nealand undergoes chemotherapy, and it just happened to land on the same week as the Bulldogs' opening round games.
Did chemo at 11 and was in the stands watching us play at 6.
Nealand ended up in the dog pile on the pitcher's mound, placed on the team's shoulders, all chanting his name. The Bulldogs surprised Nealand and his dad with tickets 2,000 miles away to Lewiston, so Nealand can watch his best friends try and win a title.
And then they get a big trophy.
And the team loves their little brother, taking in every single moment with them.
It's not like just friends at school, it's like friends for like games and stuff.
And Nealand's going to keep fighting and stay Nealand strong.
No matter what you face, you rise to the occasion and put a smile on your face and take it on and say, I've got this. And that's what he does.
The Science and Arts Drovers have come all the way from Chickasha, Oklahoma to Lewiston on a 25-game win streak.
It's been long season. Just happy to be here.
And for freshman Colton Bench, this season became even longer. It's because one eye was on the diamond and the other on his mother.
Making sure, like, giving her positive vibes and just making sure she stays positive throughout the whole everything.
That's whole everything. Was cancer. Greta Bench was diagnosed with breast cancer around 5 to 6 months ago. Colton says he knew he always had to care for his mother one way or another during the season.
All my life, she was always there at practice, come pick me up, come to every game. She's my biggest fan.
The freshman says the biggest thing to him was knowing she wasn't alone. But Colton wasn't alone either. Another drover, senior shortstop Elvin Alamo, has an almost identical story.
Had to be my grandpa being diagnosed cancer.
Elvin's grandpa, Carmelo Barrientos, was diagnosed with prostate cancer nearly a year ago.
He's been there since I was a kid, so he probably, like, I grew up with him. I live in the same household as him, so yeah, he's pretty important for me.
His grandpa is actually the person who taught Elvin baseball.
When I was growing up, so I just look up for him. He actually teach me how to play baseball, so yeah, he's been a big part of my life.
Both Elvin and Colton say some of the biggest aids for them has been the team.
Not just friends, just brothers, so they've always been there for me. Even when they see my mom, they always be giving her a hug, just knowing that they're there for her too.
Greta Bench had a bit of a surprise earlier this year, the chance to throw out the first pitch with her son behind the plate to catch it.
That was pretty cool. I actually got to catch it. Before that, she was throwing it all over the place, so it was good that she hit me in the glove.
Even though all 10 teams want to win the title, Elvin has a special moment planned.
Hopefully get a World Series ring, and I hope I can give it to him.
Quality hit.
Senior Dan Valerio has been to the final few games 4 times, twice at JUCO and twice with the Southeastern Fire.
Been around 350 all year, able to hit double-digit home runs again.
Southeastern won the NAIA World Series last season. But there was something missing on that miraculous, undefeated run for Dan.
I mean, he never missed a game.
Dan's father, Dan Sr., wasn't in the stands.
It was a practice, and then I just got a phone call that my dad had a massive stroke.
Dan Sr.'s stroke was in February 2018, right in the middle of last season.
It was devastating, especially because, my dad's my best friend, and he means so much to me.
He was in the ICU for 2 weeks and remained in the hospital for another 2 months. The left side of his body is paralyzed, leaving him unable to walk.
For 56 years of your life, you're able to walk and do whatever you want, but now you're sidelined, you can't even move, you need help and everything.
Dan says it was the first time he's ever seen his dad slow down.
The stress and trying to meet ends meet with financially, it just, caused him to become sick.
To this day, there's been no answer as to what caused the stroke.
I was home for like a month and a half and just going to the hospital each day, just trying to encourage him.
Right now, Dan Sr. is still limited to just a wheelchair and cane. Dan Jr. is still coming to Lewiston this season. The goal this year was to make sure his dad sees the final few games of his son's college career. One of Dan's friends from church in Florida set up a GoFundMe just 3 days ago on Monday.
We didn't know what was going to happen because such a short amount of time.
What happened next is a miracle.
In a matter of a day and a half, we raised the total amount for my family to come out, hotel, plane tickets, rent a car, the whole thing was covered.
The entire Valerio family arrived in Lewiston today, just in time to see Dan step to the plate at Harrisfield tomorrow.
Just to set up a GoFundMe in that short amount of time and that people rally around, it's truly just, it's God. I mean, he's just there, he's present, and it's just so, I'm so grateful.
The Faulkner Eagles are returning to Lewiston for the 7th straight season.
I'm so grateful. I just try to not take anything for granted, especially after last year.
Even though the Eagles made it to the World Series a year ago, it was different for catcher Jonathan Villa.
Laying sod, I was working on fields. I remember, we were laying sod for the Houston Astros.
He says the hard work taught him a lot.
Taught me to not take anything for granted, especially being on a baseball field.
Jonathan was forced to redshirt because of grades.
I was so used to my whole life to being like, not the center of attention, but being, Jonathan Villa, Jonathan Villa this and Jonathan Villa that.
It was also hard for another reason.
Didn't see my family for about 3 years.
Jonathan says he thought he might never step on the diamond again.
I experienced a lot of depression, a lot of just not being certain what was going to happen with my life, not only baseball, but outside of baseball as well.
Life became even more difficult a few years ago when Jonathan's diabetic dad had surgery to amputate his foot.
I've always said that I had 2 awakenings in my life that God has given me, just woke me out from it, and that was definitely one of them.
Jonathan says he started to turn everything around.
The biggest accomplishment for me this year is just seeing a lot of my teammates getting baptized and turning their lives around, and just seeing how much we care about each other.
Last year, he was building fields. This year, he's starting at catcher.
Building this field during the summer, and now I get to play like a conference tournament championship on it.
And it comes with another surprise.
It's gonna be the first day that my dad and my mom get to watch me play since 2014.
Jonathan's family drove all the way to Lewiston to watch him play for the first time in 5 years.
I've been telling my teammates for the past month that I found out they were coming, and I was like, hey, I might cry.
Jonathan says having his parents there is the most important thing.
They're the rock of my life, and I'm so grateful for them.
And for the series, it's more than just a baseball tournament.
It's more than just a World Series. It's more than just a ring. It's life. It's something that we fought for our entire lives.
The Georgia Gwinnett Grizzlies are back in the NAIA World Series.
We had a happy event of jumping for joy to bring us here to Lewiston.
That happy event was a Brody Wofford moonshot in the top of the 9th inning.
And Wofford does it! Wofford does it! Smashes one over the right field wall!
It was the opening round clincher that brought the Grizzlies to Lewiston.
It was probably the biggest hit I've had in my career so far, and to come here and have a chance to win a natty, it's pretty special.
But while that was happening on the diamond, Something else was going on in the dugout with head coach Brad Stromdahl.
I came in the dugout and I was wondering where he was at because usually he's right there, congratulating us. And I walked down to get some water and there's like 15 paramedics or like firefighters around him.
The celebration had gotten to the coach.
I jumped forward a little bit and I landed on the first stair going up, the first step going up, and blew out my Achilles. My toes went to my shin.
Stromdahl tore his Achilles, celebrating with his team.
Yeah, silver lining. I mean, you're jumping for joy. I mean, there's no better way to pull an Achilles than to go to the World Series on a home run.
He had surgery on Monday, and while his team was getting ready all week in Lewiston, he wasn't able to arrive until Thursday afternoon.
It's funny at the same time, but you feel bad for him. But, if you know Strom, he's kind of like he's a funny dude. He kind of makes everything just kind of like, just not as big as it seems. He's just kind of like a funny guy. So anyway, it was funny at the end of the day.
Stromdahl's already got a game plan.
I think that I'll have crutches and I'll have a little scooter. I think that it'll be fun if I take the scooter out to the mound a couple times.
It'll likely be the first time a coach takes a stroller to the mound, but maybe it's some good luck.
Augie Garrido won the 1995 College World Series. He did the same thing. So hopefully it's a good omen.
Even though it's a serious injury, Stromdahl can't ignore the laughs.
And I'm sure that the first 5 people that'll see me will be on Snapchat, and it's going to be a fun little exercise for them.
Putting a drive into this one. This ball will not be coming back.
They absolutely demolish the ball. And the St. Thomas Bobcats are vying for the World Series championship. But each and every player is also competing with one another.
Whoever has the best offensive stat line for that game, they'll get the golden rake at the end, take a picture, have a good time with it.
Yeah, you heard the team leader in home runs right. A rake. A 3-foot golden rake.
That guy rakes, this guy rakes, so we were just laughing about if we had a rake that was gold that we can give to the guys at the end of the game.
If you don't know why the Bobcats chose a rake,
it's more of a baseball slang for hitting well.
It all started last season.
I believe we had the highest batting average in the country. This year I would say we're at least tops in the conference.
They're still dominant this season, and that includes Jackie Urbaez, who hit a grand slam to all but clinch a spot in the World Series.
This ball is gone over the wall.
When I saw the ball leave the park, I was overwhelmed with joy. I was running around the bases screaming. It was a great feeling.
After a player gets the rake, it goes right back to the rake handler, Nick Izquierdo.
After you get it, you kind of take your picture and then you hand it over to me. I want to be able to pass it on to somebody else.
He says it's because of his dad's legacy.
My dad played here in the 90s and he was an All-American. He had the highest batting average in the country senior year, and his name isn't really thrown around as much or remembered as much as I thought it would be when I got here.
Nick says his name will always be attached to the golden rake no matter what he does on the field. The team says if they're all competing against each other, it'll be a better product on the field.
Everybody wants to win it, so that ups the competition in the lineup and helps, the team win that day.
If somebody's doing good, they're like, okay, I gotta do better than him to get the rake today. It's a friendly rivalry between all of us.
It's all about clicking when it matters most. Freed Hardeman, Zach Sanders, and Bryce Lester know more about each other than your average teammates.
We know pretty much how much each other has range-wise and everything, so we know whose ball it is and without even really saying anything.
It's because the Lions' second baseman and shortstop are actually cousins.
I grew up throwing the ball with him around at our grandmother's or my grandmother's house and his grandmother's house, and just now I'm throwing with him on college, and that's just kind of crazy to me. It's a lot of fun.
Zach is a freshman, and he plays at second. Bryce is the junior at short.
Brothers, pretty much, really. We just pick on each other, just a little friendly stuff like that. But other than that, it was it's pretty much just us being really close and everything.
And just how close are these two?
Thanksgiving and Christmas, we would always sit together and talk about baseball and stuff like that.
There were also more than a few heated battles on the backcourt.
Shoot basketball in between eating and playing wiffle ball. It's always competing against each other. He's a couple years older than me, so he's always a little better than me.
Their growing up together also comes with a few stories from a decade ago.
Staying in a hotel together, and he tried to run on a treadmill backwards, and he ended up tripping, falling, busting his lip, and he had to go to the emergency room. And it was scary then, but like now it's kind of funny. We laugh about it.
As for right now, Bryce has taken on more of a mentor role for Zach.
I look up to him because he's a team captain. He holds himself real well. I'm just trying to kind of be like him.
He's so much of a big brother figure that Bryce was the first to find out Zach would be starting beside him.
He texted me like right away. He's like, dude, he's like, guess what? And so we've had that, so that's pretty awesome.
Both cousins say it's a surreal moment playing with each other, one they never thought they would have.
Thought maybe second year I'd play with him, but I said it's crazy. It's crazy because our families always come and watch, and there's nothing like it.
The Indiana Tech Warriors are in Lewiston for the first time in 16 years. And if you look closely at their orange and black shirts, you'll notice something you don't usually see on a baseball uniform.
It's basically a code that the firemen have used in the past, 2 in, 2 out.
In the firefighting world, you don't go into a dangerous situation unless there's someone with you and another team outside.
Intertwines the meaning of teamwork and go in together, stay out together.
For the Warriors, it means strength in numbers.
Whatever situation that we're in, we know that we can rely on each other to back us up and get out of the situation.
The idea started years ago when head coach Kip McWilliams and his wife were watching a movie.
My wife even said at that time, she's like, oh, that would be a great motto for your team. And that was about 5 years ago.
McWilliams saw it in his notes in the winter, and 2N took a hold of the team in the spring.
We're fortunate enough to play in this game of baseball that it's not about life or death. So it's really an opportunity to honor those first responders.
The team has taken 2N to another level.
We have this axe that we carry around, so basically symbolizing the fireman motto.
But there's only one problem.
We weren't allowed to ship it out here or even, put it in our luggage.
That all changed Wednesday. Indiana Tech went to go see the Lewiston Fire Department.
It was a great opportunity for our guys to go out and see a little bit more in depth about what firemen do, and just another way for us to give them appreciation of those first responders.
And Lewiston Fire even gave them a good luck charm.
So they let us borrow an axe for the week, and so we'll be carrying a Lewiston axe into the field tomorrow.
Because sometimes when you're in a rut, the team is there to back you up. 26 straight in the win column, entering the NAIA World Series for the Bellevue Bruins.
It's been a great group to be around, one of my favorite teams.
It's been a complete turnaround for Bellevue. They were 7-13 through their first 20 games, but then they only lost one of their next 40 games. So could a piece of clothing be their saving grace?
It's a tradition we actually just started last year. It's called the Victory Belt.
Okay, maybe not your typical piece of clothing.
We're kind of struggling as a team last year in the middle of the year and thought we needed a little bit of a spark.
Coach Dwayne Monlux got that spark while taking his daughter shopping at Toys R Us.
I was walking through the store and I saw this WWE giant belt. And I just thought, maybe we could get a little spark for our team if we get this, so I bought the belt.
It's a replica belt, and it's far from a little toy. Oh, yeah. It's the real deal.
It's given us, the motivation to, win a game so we can keep passing on the belt to each and every player.
After every game the Bruins win, the belt is passed on. But if the team falls flat...
If we lose a game, coaches take it back. And our goal is for the coaches never to have the belt, for the players just to pass it on to each other.
The players are actually the ones who choose which player gets it next, and there isn't even a strict guideline to follow when choosing.
Maybe it's the guy that had a great game offensively, or maybe it's a pitcher that did a great job. Could be a reliever that came in. Could be a bench guy that had great energy in the dugout. Our bullpen catcher got it 1 week.
Redshirt freshman infielder Bailey Link is the current belt holder.
The belt represents us playing for each other.
He says it's because they each want to see the other get the belt.
It's like a streak to keep it going, just like how our streak is going right now.
Even though the tradition is still young, the players are hoping to bat around the roster.
I think a goal would be to give the belt to like each player on the team at least once a year.
Safe to say, if everyone gets the belt in a year, the Bruins are almost a sure bet to be a World Series team every season. Riley Way and A.J. Davis. They man the middle of the infield for the Lewis Clark State Warriors.
From our freshman year till now, we've definitely grown together a lot up the middle. Every day in practice, every game, we kind of have that chemistry now.
But the sophomores at second base and shortstop knew each other for years.
Lewiston Clarkson, big rivalry. It was just like forever and ever. It was that river just splitting us apart.
Riley went to Lewiston High School, and AJ was just a 9-minute drive away at Clarkston High School.
We kind of dueled it out at shortstop when we played each other in a tournament here.
Both were some of the best players on their respective high school teams.
We were our guys, so it was kind of face-to-face, one-on-one type stuff. They both had to get the jobs done on both sides.
Each of them knew exactly what the other was capable of.
When I played against Riley, I always knew his speed. He's always been a really good hitter, athlete in every sport.
And Riley said he always knew AJ was that dude.
Whatever AJ did, you had to be ready for it because he could burst out at any moment, have an open up the game at any time. So it's kind of just had to be ready for him.
After they both graduated in 2017, the rivals joined forces.
We both knew we were coming to LC, and so I found out he was playing Legion, so I thought that was perfect.
It's where the chemistry they have right now all started.
I don't think I've had like the same amount of chemistry as I've had with any other second baseman or shortstop or wherever we're playing. The chemistry is there between us, and I just feel like that's a big part of our game.
No matter how close a friendship becomes, rivalries never die.
There's always going to be a Lewiston-Clarkson rival. It's just the river divides us, and we always like to compete against each other to see who owns the valley, pretty much.
And it's still alive and well with LC's middle infielders.
Ooh, I'd say Lewiston got it. We got it right now.
Clarkson.
We got the
Clarkson
valley.
does, for sure.